what's up, and welcome back to another episode of The Complete Woman. So if this is your first time here, The Complete Woman is an NGO stroke ministry God gifted me, and it's about building women mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, because when a woman is complete in these 5 core areas, she does not do life from a lacking mindset, and therefore it increases the quality of her life, her, all around her finances, and most important, her relationships. The most important one of the most important decision a woman will make in her lifetime is the life partner she settles with. When a woman chooses the right mate with the help of God, she does that when she tends to make better choices when she's more whole and complete. I started this first series, which is the will of God for your breakup, which is the will of God for your heartbreak. Actually, we've done a couple of videos. If this is your first time, I'll say you should go fill yourself on those videos so that you know how we got to this place. And now today's topic is a very amazing one. The last topic, we spoke about 7 aspects God will train or a woman work on her before he brings her to her spouse, the way he brought Eve to Adam, after he has made Eve from his rib. So God also works on every woman before bringing her to her spouse. And this is one thing most Christian ladies don't know about, because they've been taught that God is not interested in choosing your spouse for you. So one key area in the 7 aspects we spoke about was weaknesses, and if you were attentive, you hear me talking about emotional trauma, emotional wounds, and all of that, which is a weakness. So one important thing God will work on is your emotional traumas and wounds. It's so hard not to see a lady or any human being that's an adult that is not operating from one emotional wound or trauma or the other, which stem from childhood, past relationship, and other events in life. So we are going to be handling all that. And we cannot understand emotional traumas and wounds without understanding emotions. So the title of this video is Emotions. I'm so happy. I've been working on this and I came prepared. Oh, I have something missing. Do you see my notes? Do you see my notes? Do you see? So this is, and we have chats over here. So just go pause this video, go get you your pen and paper, because you're about to learn a lot. Your life is about to change. You're about to be blessed with so much that you don't know about yourself. There's one book missing here. I'm just quickly going to get it. So what are emotions? A lot of people think, a lot of us think emotions are happiness, sadness, joy, happiness, sadness, and all of that. It's a feeling. And when I tell you types of emotions, you'll be like, oh, happiness, joy, sadness, and all of that. And that is what we know. Well, emotions are more complex than that. The last time I checked, there were how many emotions? A lot of them. I write it on the screen. It blew my mind. And people don't know about this. Sometimes you go through emotions, you don't even know it has a name. You may be feeling a type of way and you don't even know it has a name. Emotions, all this is about emotions. You're about to be blown, like I said. So let's start. What is emotions? Now, I've done all my research with the help of the Holy Spirit and prayer. I've been working on this for days, because God says this is the next thing we're talking about. And I told you before I come up here, I don't like the next thing we are talking about. I have no idea to some extent. God is just like immediately reveals the next topic, and there's a work on it. And this one, he needed me to go into research so that I can see how he coins all of this with the Holy Spirit. So emotions are psychological and physiological feelings. You get from this, your brain is involved in emotions, so is your heart. The heart is the center of emotions, and the brain thoughts, they they communicate together to bring about emotions, which is the psychological part. Because yeah, they communicate with each other to bring about emotions. So it's a communication pathway between the brain and the heart. The heart, in spirituality we call it soul. This is your center of emotions and feelings. This is where you feel things. All right, this is where you have feelings, sentiments, emotional responses, and all of that. But before an emotion can be formed, there is a interaction, psychological interaction with the brain, if I make any sense. So we're going to talk about how emotions are formed, and I have this chart for you guys. How emotions are formed. Your brain, that is your heart. So your brain is responsible for thoughts, conjunctive reasoning, okay, reasoning, perception, and imagination. It's conjunctive mental processing, that is reasoning, perception, and imagination. These make up the conjunctive mental processes, which is reasoning, perception, and imagination. While emotions are from the heart, the soul, the heart, which you can call the soul, is responsible for emotions, for feelings, sentiments, and emotional responses. Now, like I told you, they interact with each other, which is cognitive appraisal, and when they get their final output after going through each other, they send it to you and tell you how to react based on what they've deduced together from the conjunctive appraisal. And this whole thing going on here is what is called the mindset of a person. The mindset of a person. Do you get? There are two ways emotions can form. It can either start with the brain, or it can just start with the heart. Either ways. But whoever originates the beginning of the formation of an emotion, they always interact with each other, agree before telling you what to do. So for example, in the case where the brain is the one that started the pathway for the emotion to be evoked, it was definitely triggered by your senses, your feeling, your five senses, either what you saw, what you heard, what you felt on your skin, or what you perceived. And that's why, in the Bible they say your eye is the gate to the soul. So when your brain, either because it saw something, it heard something, it felt something, or it perceived something, it brings some data, let me call it data, of all that it is sensing and receiving from the sensory organs, and send it to the heart, to the emotions, and be like, hey guy, what do you think about this? The emotions put the words together and say, wow, this is what this person is likely feeling. Then it sends it back to the brain. The brain will be like, wow, if this person is feeling like this, then this is the best response to this. Maybe it will check in the heart with the emotions again. They'll be like, yes, and send it to you to do that. Let me give an example. For example, if somebody is just walking and they get to maybe someone that is scared of, I don't know, or let me say lion. We know what lion is. And you're just walking randomly in the wild and you see a lion from afar. The lion has not spotted you. That sight, your brain is like, whoa, this is lion. And it's like, what's up, heart? This is heart to be like, there is a memory somewhere where we have stored, and we know what this is a wild animal, it can kill, and it sends it to the brain. This is a wild animal, it can kill. Fear, gives the brain fear. The brain is like, wow, okay, since this is a wild animal we are seeing, thank you for telling me So the next response is emotion is fear. What is fear associated with? Run or fight it. Can she run? And this person will like your they'll be telling you to run, and that is how you just run, because you are making the action, and they are moving you, they're telling you what to do. Another example is if, for example, a little child that is doing something wrong and the mother scolds and shouts, they had and pick the tone of her voice, and it immediately make the child shiver in fear. The brain takes it to the heart, and like, oh wow, they'll reason it together. Mommy is being upset, or the child should calm down or cry more, depending on what has been stored in the cognitive appraiser. For example, if that child has known that crying will stop mommy from shouting and make her get away, she will resort into crying. If the brain has realized that before in the past, when they told her to cry more, mommy whoop and spank the ass and it did not go anywhere, the cognitive appraiser must have thought that, okay, just shut up, calm down, or go hide somewhere, or just suck it up. Do you get? So that is how emotions are formed. On your own, again, from stored memories to the soul can just pick up emotions from reminiscing on thoughts. Can just pick up emotions here, and say, brain, what do you think about this? Brain will be like, do you understand? For example, you can be lying down, and maybe a thought that was formed during the day of what somebody did to me, and I wasn't really sure how to act when I'm on my own, the bored and everything. The soul can just be like, oh, whew, child, the way that person spoke to you, what do you think? You send it to the brain. The brain is like, wow, that was definitely disrespectful from her tone, the way she did her eyelash, and I don't like her body language. And they will be like, wow, what are we feeling now? I feel disrespected. I'm like, wow, she feels disrespected. The brain will think about the information. I'm like, depending on who you are, again, and who you are is what have been registered in the cognitive appraiser, in the soul, in the mind, in the brain. And they're like, okay, next time we see her, we're going to pass her, we'll keep malice or whatever, or I'm going to, you start conniving ways that this person will fall into your trap, and you give them a piece of your mind. But this is just a process of how thoughts, emotions, which is the brain and the heart, come together to influence the actions of a person. It's the same way in procrastinating, not being productive. You've been procrastinating on your bed. Yes, it's your heart and your brain that is telling you what to do. A procrastinator, obviously, now is a slave to your brain and your emotions, because the only thing they know as your identity is that you love the comfort zone. So when you are trying to because you've had that motivational speech and you want to do more, they're like, nah, no, that's not you, excuse me. Like, the brain will be like, what's going on? I think this person is sitting down more and looking more at why is she writing? It's stressing us. The heart will be like, yeah, I agree with you, it's stressing us. That activates comfort, emotion of comfort. Like, oh, if you'll not be feeling fatigued, be feeling like you need to go and lie down a little bit, pour some wine, and say you do it tomorrow again. Yeah, then they'll be very happy. Yeah, that's basically, you see, the brain and the soul, the cognitive appraiser, shapes the life of somebody by influencing their actions and controlling them, basically. So, and that's mindset in totality. Mindset of a person, the mental capacity of an individual, the pathway to an individual. So I wrote here that your thoughts provoke emotions. Emotions can provoke thoughts. They can just be going together back and forth. And that is the cognitive mental processes. They'll be processing this information, and it shapes minds and influences your action. And each time, if they've come with something new, each time they do that appraisal and tell you what to do, they come up with this identity where they store of who you are. In case that thing comes up again, they don't even need to go back and forth with each other. They just like, this is the response to this. You are not that person. This is the response. This is how we'll be moving. And I don't know if it's time for me to launch into this, but obviously you can see that you can also retrain them. You are in charge. You are supposed to be in charge. You can be in charge. So you are not your emotions. That you are feeling something is not. It's just your emotion, your brain and your heart trying to tap into old data they can place their hand on and give you the response on what to do. Do you get? So they store this thing. You can retrain them by being in charge. When you're a slave to your emotions and every thought, you are not powerful mentally. A mentally strong person is somebody that is aware of these emotions and this thought, and you're like, when you understand this, and I'm telling you, like, no, that's not how I want us to move over here. You do what I want you to do. All right, listen to what I want you to do, and that's how we are doing. And the more you force them over time, they would do away with that old information of the identity they formed about you and store these new ones. Okay, so there are two types of persons: those that have no idea and they just feel their emotions are just their emotions. So I'm feeling like this, so I have to act on it. That's impulse, and that is lack of self-control and self-awareness. But when you are aware of this thing, like I'm telling you now, and because you're an amazing individual, you know that what's just going on is your heart and your brain trying to work with whatever information they have stored, at their disposal, because you have not given them more access to more information. So you are in the driving force. They don't have to tell you what to do. You have to feel those emotions, feel those thoughts, and like choose how you want them to act. And by the time you act differently, or whatever, you influence the thought. You tell it, no, I don't want you to think that. Why can't you think this way? Change that thing you're telling me and store this. Do you understand? So that's how emotions are formed, from psychologically, and all of that. I hope you learned something. So now we are going to move on to types of emotion. I'm very, very excited about this one, because see, I was like you before. I'll be thinking, like, if you tell me what are emotions, I'll just be like, ooh, sadness, happiness. Those are not types of emotions. So we have types of emotions. We have primary emotions. Primary emotions, just like you can already tell, they are basic emotions. Those are the ones you would have answered me right off the bat and be like, joy, happiness, sadness. They're just basic emotions. Very, very basic. They are just very basic emotions. So like, I wrote my notes so I don't forget anything. Like, I was writing my notes so I could learn more about them. Next type of emotions, we have secondary or complex emotions. Secondary emotions, they are complex, and you can tell they are gotten from basic emotions. This is when two or more basic emotions are at play. Where the combination of two or more basic emotions is called secondary or complex emotions. So for example, when somebody jealousy is a secondary emotion, you see. And jealousy is formed from two types of basic emotions: anger and love. Are you seeing it? So for example, that your best friend that was jealous of you in high school or uni or secondary school for Nigerians loved something about you, but was angry that you were the one that you don't deserve this thing that is nice. They love that thing about you, but they are angry that you don't deserve it. They deserve it. You don't deserve it, or it should be someone else but you. So that's the play of anger and love in jealousy. Also in relationships, where you say, oh, my guy, he's jealous. I'm a jealous lover. Because I love you so much, I don't want to share you with anybody. God is also jealous about us and our attention, because he loves us so much. He doesn't want us to share all of us with someone else. So yeah. Then we have guilt. Oh, I feel guilty. Guilt is gotten from the combination of two basic emotions, which is shame and regret. So the person has definitely done something, either saying or doing, that they are regretting their actions now. They are regretting their actions, and they feel shameful for it. And you see, the funny thing is, a secondary complex emotion can also be the combination of two secondary emotions. It's not just only basic emotions. And you see, that's the complexity. It can go way more complex than that. Do you understand? So we have self-consciousness. People that are very self-conscious, they are you know, uh, you know sorry. We have shame. Shame is gotten from self-consciousness as a feeling, as a basic emotion, and embarrassment. So shame is self-consciousness and embarrassment. For example, if somebody fell in public, they fell down, their wig flew, their skirt went up, and they just be like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, people are looking, oh, my wig is gone, my old braid. Self-consciousness engulfs them immediately, and they're embarrassed, very embarrassed, and they'll be so sad. Then we have pride. Pride comes from like happiness and satisfaction. Happiness and satisfaction, basic emotion. So someone that is feeling so proud of their achievements, that means they're happy with the result of their hard work, and they're satisfied. So they have pride. So when it's excessive, it's bad and dangerous. Then we have envy. What's the difference between envy and jealousy? The play of the types of basic emotions involved. For envy, you have resentment and sadness. This is like, see, jealousy can be good sometimes. It's not completely negative. It can be good. It can be a positive emotion. But envy is like the elder brother of jealousy. That there's nothing good from that. And that comes from resentment and sadness. And I think it's built on jealousy now. Whether your friend now is not thinking, oh, I resent her, I'm so sad that she has all this thing, and why isn't it me? Do you get? So yeah. So now we have a third type of emotion called the tertiary emotion. Can you honest? They are also complex emotions. It's still the play of many complex emotions, but these ones are more complex. Where in fact, they are so complex that you can write books on it and break them down into many things. For example, it's romantic emotion, romantic attachment, affection, lust, and all of that. We have this one that says Schadenfreude. I don't know if I pronounced that well. Our mother did, but I write it on the screen. Schadenfreude combines joy, envy, and satisfaction. Imagine a feeling where you are having joy, but you're envious, and you're satisfied. Then we have nostalgia. I know you should know that's bittersweet. Happiness plus sadness plus longing for something. That's like a nostalgic emotion, nostalgic feeling. I'm going to go into them one after the other, because these emotions are very key for us when we delve into emotional trauma and wounds, so you understand. So hope you're taking notes. Let's start with moral emotions. Moral emotion is a type of secondary emotion. Moral emotions, I know you can already guess what that could be. It arises from moral values of an individual. Arises from the moral values of an individual. It governs their principles and judgments. More of your conscience. When they'll say, see what she did. Don't you have conscience? It's moral emotion that is at play. It's a type of secondary complex emotion, not tertiary. So it's like morals. This guy does not have morals. That governor does not have morals. The politicians don't have morals. Kind of like your principles, your judgment, your conscience, the knowing of what's right and wrong. their emotional responses to moral events and concerns, e.g., fairness, justice, rights, and wrongs. Do you get? Examples of such emotions are sympathy. So, wow, this guy is sympathetic. Well, you have sympathy because, like, you have morals. Do you get? Sympathize with the person. That means, wow, this thing that happened to you is so it's not justified. You don't deserve it. You sympathize with them. You have That's a positive moral emotion. Then we have indignation. When you're outraged, when someone is outraged because justice has been deferred, or you just want justice, outraged by injustice. Yes, sorry, outraged by injustice is indignation. When you see injustice going on and you are very, very angry, it's indignation. So that's a type of secondary complex emotion. So yeah, that will be sadness and anger. All right. Then we have regrets, when they violate moral standards, either in interrelationship, which is guilt. Guilt, imagine you see, a complex emotion can feature in many places. You see, guilt, regret. Can also be a type of moral emotion, because someone can be guilty when it comes to morals, maybe because you found out they were not honest in their dealings, in their moral standard, then they feel kind of guilty. So when a guilt is associated with somebody's morals, that type of guilt can also can reflect in moral emotions. Meanwhile, guilt can, or you see other places, guilt can also reflect. So a complex emotion may not just be suited to one particular place, if that makes sense. Okay. See, emotions can also be a blend of complex mixes of experiences. Feeling happy and sad simultaneously is called emotional layering. Switching between emotions too is another thing, and it's called emotional oscillation. Like, you're just switching towards emotions. Say mood swings. Is that what you people call it? It's your brain and your heart that is swinging you. It's mood swinging you, and like you are not mentally strong. You're weak. You should work on it. You shouldn't be proud. Anyways, so moral emotion theories for moral emotions. Emotions derived moral judgment. Yeah, emotions derive moral judgment. So we have rational reasoning or logic, or sentimental emotions are in play and guiding the foundation to judgment. So what are we saying here? Moral emotion theories. So there are two moral emotion theories. One theory states that someone can either be rational in their moral emotions, like all that they've learned about emotions. You see that when they make judgments, when it comes to moral issues, they are more rational. And or reasoning, they are logical. It's what you say, let's not be logical. When you tell somebody, let's not be logical here, or they tell you, let's be logical here, then that person is more of a rational, moral, emotional person. They like to go with logic, reasoning, and that's it. The second part, if someone is not this, then they are sentimental. They use emotions. Emotions are in play and guides them on the foundation for their own judgment. So see, someone that is inclined morally towards rational reasoning will clash heads with the sentimental person. But this sentimental person may want to like be biased, or show preference. Say, oh wow, what do you mean the mother of 3 babies killed another person's child? I don't know why I brought up this example, but like, oh, let her not pay, she's probably going through. They just make excuses for anything. because of sentiments. You know, they can be easily sentimental. But a rational person, all the bears would have carried sword and removed the human's head away. So yeah, they judge, they don't waste time. How are moral emotions developed? You see how very important this is, because when you walk out of your house, you meet good people or bad people, and it has a play on how their moral emotions were developed. An adult that has grown to be more rational and logical in passing judgment, and another that grows more sentimental in passing judgment, there is a development. There was something that developed that thinking pattern in them. It's not just coming out of the blues. Just I told you, the brain and the emotions will be communicating and save that thing as conjunctive reason appraisal. Like, oh, this is how to act when certain things do like this. You get. So the emotions are developed in these various aspects: childhood, socialization, learning moral values from caregivers like parents. And imagine those parents here that don't have time for their children, and they'll leave their children with caregivers, and maybe there are 3 children, and you see a caregiver that maybe is sentimental and have a favorite with the child. Even in school, and teachers have a favorite, and keep making judgments sentimental towards her favorites. She's developing a kind of moral this thing in the other children, especially the one who was being that he is being that is being in the good, that is working out good for, is obviously maybe, who knows, could be developing sentimental emotions. So could be, maybe, another child, based on maybe this thing that they are even showing the preference to, will be like, yes, that's true, nothing is fair in this life, I've always gotten my way. Meanwhile, the one that is at advantage could also be watching this and feel, oh, it's good to people please and be sentimental. Or can also be like, why is she showing her preference? That's not fair. I'm never going to do that. Or, when they grow up, they become more rational. That's how complex emotions can be. But this is giving you examples of what develops moral emotions. Childhood, which is socialization, even the way they see it within their peers, what they pick up around adults around them. Then we have cultural influences, and this is adopting cultural moral norm. Imagine cultures. Nigeria is a very rich cultural place, and I'm using Nigeria because I'm from here. Imagine Nigeria now, they're like, if a woman wears trousers, no, not in Nigeria, it could be any culture. I think I've had it before. They should flog her publicly. It could be that you will not be like, oh, that's so wrong. That's so wrong. That's not fair. I don't think women deserve that. Another person that is more rational will be like, no. They need to place all this thing in place to highlight to you all the advantages and the logical and reasoning pattern why that is right. Be like, oh, well, it's just what it is. So that's cultural influences. People will have to follow that culture they met. In Nigeria now, they'll tell you kitchen and all those cooking self-development is for women alone, and men have certain this thing. You could see people saying, yeah, that makes sense because they are not the same. And you see other people coming and saying, no, they need to be a theme so love can thrive. All those are cultural influences, and you're talking about moral emotions, what is right and what is wrong. Then we have personal experiences to can help that develops moral emotion. Through life events. So imagine somebody that has had a certain moral emotion developed at childhood and even had cultural influences. Then they go through certain events in life personal to them that reappraise that thinking. Do you get it? They're like, wow, this thing happened to me. That they begin to question what they already know, and they're like, you know what, I think that's bullshit. This is my new experience with what I can say. I believe this is how it should be. So personal experiences can develop moral emotions in people, like women that have vowed to use men for money now, for example. Before they grew up thinking that is not right. You be the good girl, go through school, and you get married to your husband. So this girl has gone into a relationship and she's been used and dumb, and she's like, you know what, damn that shit. I think this man over here deserve evil witches. You know, that his personal experiences has developed her moral norms, so she prefer to use men for money, relationship for money. So now we are diving into another type of secondary complex emotion, which is called self-conscious emotions. Self-conscious emotions. This is another type of secondary complex emotions, and this just has to do with the emotions, all of the emotions that have to play interacting with oneself, in interaction with yourself, by yourself, with you. The emotions that have to play. The moral information is rights and wrong, society, associated with society, rights and wrong, society, rights and wrong. Self-conscious emotion now is what? All the emotions that have to play when you're interacting with yourself as an individual. These are formed from individual awareness. You know, yourself and your actions. So individual awareness of self-awareness plus self-evaluation, which are your actions. So self-conscious emotion emanates from interacting with oneself, knowing yourself, as well as your actions. In yourself as self-awareness, and your actions as self-evaluation. So, and your place in the world. So you're evaluating yourself, your action, yourself, which is self-awareness, plus evaluating your actions, which is self-evaluation, and your place in the world with these two factors, which is self-reflection. This is self-conscious emotions. We have types. This one's types, we have feeling satisfied, for example, with oneself and accomplishments. Pride. You see, you are feeling satisfied. Pride is a self-conscious emotion because you are feeling satisfied and accomplished. How do you know you're satisfied and accomplished? Because you're actually measuring that with what the word, what you know in the place of the word is. You have a sense to, wow, I think I'm doing okay. Do you get? Then we have feeling embarrassed and humiliated or guilty, and this is shame. It's a self-conscious emotion. Self is self, shame. And you are kind of feeling embarrassed, humiliated, and guilty, either from your actions of, and again, who told you that because you're evaluating it with what the word says is the right thing? Yeah, nice. The third is regretting one's actions and decisions, which is guilt. Guilt, I feel guilt is self-guilt. You see, guilt is coming here again because you can find yourself guilty, and also the society can find you guilty. Oh Jesus, we're still going to be talking. Shame also is feeling guilty, is guilt. Shame is from guilt. Then questioning one's ability or judgment as self-doubt. Self-doubt is a type of self-conscious emotion because you're doubting your abilities. Self-doubt is a type of self-conscious emotion because you're doubting your abilities. Then we have humility. It's a self-conscious emotion because you are recognizing your limitation and vulnerability. You know, when you recognize, when they're like, be humble, you recognize your limitations and your vulnerability, and that makes you humble. Then we have embarrassment, which is feeling awkward or self-conscious around others. We have excessive pride and arrogance, which is called hubris. Hubris. So now let's enter into self-conscious emotion theory. They are driven by self-discrepancy and self-evaluation. These are the two theories that self-conscious emotion are driven by two things: self-discrepancy and self-evaluation. Self-discrepancy is the gap between who you aspire to be, who you think you should be, and who you are now. So who you aspire to be, who you think you should be, and who you are currently. So self-discrepancy can cause guilt, shame, anxiety, and motivation. It can also positively cause motivation to change, you know. So for example, now there is this entrepreneur that 2 years ago was at the peak of entrepreneurship, and they were making a certain amount of figures and blah blah blah, and bad habits came in at some point and they start to decline. So they get to a place where they are, before they even started that 2 years ago, there's this ultimate image in their head. They aspire to be this level of success. So let me say the level of they aspire to be is like one making $100 million every week, but they work their ass off to be 2 years ago where they were earning like maybe 50 to 70 a week. Do you get it? And they just got comfortable, indulge in spending habits, laziness, and whatever have you, bad habits, gambling and all of that, till they found themselves in such a place that is so low. So self discrepancy starts to happen where they are like, wow, this is where I aspire to be. I've not even gotten there, Then the second factor, they know who they think they should be. They're like, wow, even 2 years ago, I was making half of that. I was already close to where I aspire to be. This is possibilities I can be. This is who I am, that my brain knows, at least, even though I've not gotten to where I aspire to be. And this is where I'm currently. This is not representing. I think I deserve more than this. It can motivate them to change, and in the place of guilt and shame, now, imagine maybe somebody that was somewhere too, and due to bad choices, this may sound very moral, became went from, the society will say, wow, she was up there before, went from grace to grass. It can, when they think about those things, it brings emotions of guilt and shame. Maybe there was something they did immorally that led to that thing. Then there are some that nobody even knows about it, but they are anxious. Can I ever get back to that place? These are self-discrepancy theories for self-conscious emotions. So they start to have that self-conscious emotions, because when they are thinking about this thing back and forth, emotions start to happen. And these are called, all the emotions that can come from it are called self-conscious emotion. They can feel ashamed, they can have self-doubt, they can feel embarrassed, guilty, and all of that. Then the second theory says self-evaluation. Of course, basically, self-evaluation is what leads to self-discrepancy. That act where they are going back and forth and checking from who they aspire to be, what they past glory, and where they are currently. It's self-awareness, it's self-reflection, it's self-judgment. So they'll pass that judgment. The judgment could either be positive or negative, whatever, on their performances and their progress. And these are the two theories of self-conscious theory. I hope it makes sense. Components of self-conscious emotions or parts. We have self-enhancement, self-criticism, self-improvement. We have different types. So self-enhancement focus on strengths and achievements only. So let me explain. Case where let's place it with self-discrepancy and self-evaluation and understand what I'm saying. So self-enhancement as a type, a part of self-conscious emotion, is when the person only decide to focus on only strengths and achievements only. So yeah, why self-criticism is emphasizing weaknesses and failures. This type will not even bother looking at the good part or where their strengths come in. They are just key. They are very great in spotting what is missing. Self-improvement identifies areas for growth and development. So it can help to bring about growth where they identify areas for growth and development. I feel this particular one did not focus on used both self-enhancement and self-criticism to work, which is the beautiful one to do. Self-evaluation helps identify self-discrepancies, like I explained before, because this is self-awareness, self-reflection, and self-judgment. And in the hands of the devil, this can be deadly. Like Satan uses this thing to deal with people, to make sure they don't rise from where they fell. no resilience at all. You know, in the hand of God too, it can be very, very beautiful, where self-improvement comes in now. You know, you have positive self-awareness, balanced self-awareness, improve decision making. It enhances self-acceptance, boosts one's self-esteem, personal growth and development. Now let's talk about development of self-conscious emotions. So now I was trying to explain something, that this parts of self-conscious emotion, like how we can relate it to self-conscious emotions drivers and theories. So the person that focuses on only strengths and achievements, now their self-discrepancy and self-evaluation will look like they are self-aware that wow. For example, let me still use that person that I said was aspired to make 100 million but was making 50 million, fell down and is making maybe hundreds or thousands. Their self-description, they can be self-aware. They focus only on strength and be like, oh wow, I aspired to make $100. I once made $50 million. Now I'm just in $1,000. Still a good thing. They will be very positive. Self-criticism will now overemphasize it and be like, they are such a failure, they can never make it again, that they'll just see it as their end, down to the ground, by the time they go back and forth. But where self-improvement come in now is, I feel, a combination of both self-enhancement and self-criticism. Now I feel the healthy way for him is to realize that wow, what brought me to this point? What can I start to do so that I get back on track? He doesn't just give up. So identify areas for growth and development. That is self-improvement. Now let's go to development of self-conscious emotions. Just like moral emotions, to every development of any emotions has childhood socialization, the cultural aspect and the personal aspect. So for example, let's see childhood now. Development of childhood self-conscious emotions, still from caregivers, parents and all of that. So imagine a child, for example, that the parent just keep shouting on, you never do anything good in your life, look at your younger sister, she's always passing. They hear all those things, or the parents shout or at them, or they are only shown a type of love when they they do good things, they feel accepted. You hug them more when they are worthy of it. All those things, they shape a child's emotions and reasoning, and parents don't know these things and they do it. They're very guilty of it. You push them away when you're not in the mood and all of that. Even caregivers, and some parents will put caregivers in charge of their children, and the caregivers are doing this, withhold affection when they are not having their way. All those little things, you do only good things, and this thing, when you feel they are worthy of it, it's not funny, but what it is. Culturally influenced to social emotions, when the society, I guess, really give a damn because of your achievements or anything. And there are personal influences too, your personal growth and all of that, like the business owner we made example out of. That's obviously personal influence. Now let's enter another type of secondary complex emotion called social emotions. So we've spoken about moral emotions, which has to do with morals, society, rights and wrong. Then we've spoken about self-conscious emotions, secondary types of emotions, which has to do with emotions concerning oneself, oneself, about yourself, self-awareness, self-reflection, where you should be and where your actions, which is evaluation, and your place in the world, which is self-reflection. So now we are talking about social emotions. What are social emotions? Social emotions are emotions that arise. There are types of complex emotions, of course, and there are emotions that arise from interacting with other people. It could be like the society, and it could be like interacting with another human being, maybe in a relationship, your best friend, but social emotions are emotions that come with interacting with other people. Understanding and sharing other people's emotion. When you understand and share that, these are types of social emotions, sorry, you have empathy. Empathy is a type of social complex emotion where you understand and share other people's pain, other people's emotions, other people's happiness. Empathy. But it's usually pain now. Feeling sorry for other people. Sympathy. You see, sympathy too can also be a social, a moral emotion, and is a social emotion. Is a moral emotion because it's good. It's a good thing to sympathize with somebody that evil have happened to in the society. But it's also a social emotion because it's an interaction between you and a person. So you have sympathy because you are feeling sorry for what happened to them. Then we have pride, which is feeling accomplished and recognized. It can be a moral emotion because it has to do with society. You did something in the society that's recognized. You have pride of accomplishment. It could be a self-conscious emotion. Yeah, you have pride. You're feeling proud of your achievements in yourself. And it could be a social emotion because now maybe I'm talking to my friend and I'm telling my friend this achievement, talking to someone or anybody, and I'm feeling proud of my achievement. So pride, you see the way it cuts across everything. You see how complex emotions can be. Feeling embarrassed and humiliated. Shame, because I could be ashamed in public, in the society, because my name has been tarnished. I can also be ashamed in front of, let's say, my crush, which is a social emotion. Okay, then we have shame is feeling embarrassed and humiliated. Of course, regret actions and decisions is guilt. I could maybe as a politician let my people down and I feel guilt. So it can reflect as a moral emotion. And self-conscious emotion, I can feel guilt, regretting my actions and decisions, where people are like the entrepreneur we spoke about in self-conscious emotions that made bad money choices and see the way it's altered where he aspired to be, where he knows he could attain, and where he was. He will feel guilty of such this thing, which is regrets of actions and decision. Appreciating others' kindness is called gratitude. So yes, I could be grateful to the society or to the politician, or I could be grateful to just one person. That social emotion is still social. It's almost looking like all moral emotions are social emotions because it's an interaction with other people. Then we have sentimental longing for past experiences, which is nostalgia. Could be somebody that broke up with somebody and they are wanting their ex, they're missing their ex's. Nostalgia. Okay. Components of social emotions. When you hear components of social emotions, I kind of see it as a flow chart. Like when someone is experiencing social emotions, when you hear me say components, because I'll be saying that in other in tertiary emotions a lot, just know that it's like stages of flow of the mind when for these emotions to be formed. So we have social awareness, stage 1, which is recognizing others' emotions and needs. Then we have empathetic concern, understanding and sharing others' feelings. Then we have social comparison, evaluating oneself relative to others. So let's see how that is going to flow with empathy now. So social awareness, let's pick empathy as one of a social emotion. So empathy now, social awareness, recognizing others' emotions and needs. So I'm feeling empathetic. The empathic concern, understanding and sharing others' feeling. So for example, maybe this lady is crying because her shop was burgled and they stole from her, and I come to pay her a visit. First of all, social awareness, I will recognize the emotions and needs. So I'll be in my mind, because I'll be, wow, this woman is feeling so hopeless now. This woman is feeling so sad. This woman is feeling so bitter. Oh, then my brain thoughts is like, oh wow, she would need somebody to comfort her. Oh, doesn't need to stay alone. Wow. um well, she could do well with if I can gift her 100K. It's not so much, but it can really this. I now flow into empathic concern. I'm understanding and sharing her feelings now. Do you understand? Like, I understand how you feel, and you just opened this place far, and children will soon resume. Social comparison, evaluating oneself relative to others. So whether you like it or not, you now be like, oh my God, will give you glory. You see me yesterday, I was just complaining about this. If this was me, what would I have done? I just hope it makes sense. Anyways, social emotion theory. Now let's enter social emotion theory. What are the theories on social emotion? Social learning theory. Social emotions learn through observation and imitation. Are you seeing? Social emotions are learned through observation and imitation. That's very powerful. Very powerful. That means if somebody, possibly with what this is saying, it's possible to carry a heartless person, and if the person stays with an empathetic person long enough, they may start showing signs of empathy. That's what it means. 2. Attachment theory. Social emotions rooted in attachment styles. Social emotions are rooted in attachment styles. Attachment styles, we have the avoidance attachment styles, and we have the healthy attachment style, and we have the anxious attachment style. So it's saying social emotions are rooted in attachment style. That means every attachment style are influenced by social emotions. So for example, let me say an avoidance person does not have empathy. You don't even need to tell me. I don't think they have empathy. An avoidance who does not have sympathy, obviously they are self-seeking, they are very selfish. That's an emotion. Selfishness has to be an emotion, even though it's not here. They're selfish. That is definitely a social emotion. Selfishness, thinking of oneself. Greed. Then pride. And avoidance definitely has pride. It's true. Every avoidance I've come in contact with, my friend is even an avoidance. There's a sense of pride, because that avoidance here, where this thing came from, is an emotional trauma, childhood trauma of abandonment, or maybe they were shutting them up. If they whatever circumstance it was, they've learned to be self-sufficient from a very young age, and they know how to handle their things, their feelings themselves. So when they see other people like being vulnerable, you're weak, it irritates them. They're like, anything emotion or whatever, or having to make them vulnerable to do no, they've modeled vulnerability. They don't It's repulsive to them. And if somebody is not vulnerable, then pride is operating. Where vulnerability is out of the picture in any way, that's pride. So avoidance, I think they're associated with pride. They rather even be guilty, and I don't even know. They could also have envy and whatever. Now, an anxious person has maybe grew up never feeling good enough. Could also be abandonment. You see the same triggers, different responses. And now an anxious person always feels they need to show more love. They need to they are deserving of love. How much they perform, then you accept them. Yeah. So here they will definitely have empathy even when it's not needed. They want to have extreme empathy, even to their own detriment. They'll dish out sympathy a lot. You can't find pride with them. They could have shame and guilt when they've overdone and passed themselves. They will be grateful for the small things, But it's just trying to say social emotion theory. See where it is like attachment theory. Social emotions is rooted in attachment styles. That's true. Then we have social identity theory. Social emotions tied to group membership. Or let's not even go too far and say group membership. Let's say all those Nigerians used to be like girls friend groups when there are three and more. That is a lie. There are two that are closer than the other ones. People used to say it. So this is social identity theory. You know, there'll always be that girl that is the alpha at the center of this thing. Her bags are on flick. Her style is flick. She may even be so, you can see a little bit of toxicity going on. The rest may be very attached to her and she'll be your avoidant queen. But I'm not saying there are no friendship that are healthy. There are, but so many emotions can come from this. There will be preference in the friend group. There's a social identity theory. There's a social emotions tied to group membership. Me, I'm even taking it as even girls' friendship on its own. Yeah, some you know, some may not meet up to standards and the rest will just be like, excuse me, they not pick you this time. There's this other one, people like to reach out to more and they want to please and show preference and it's just everybody's G in the group and whatever. Anyways, that's all for social. And of course, the development of social emotions, just like every other type too, is childhood influences, you know, caregiving and all of that, cultural, and also personal experiences, you know, personal experiences. Next, we have aesthetic emotions. Is a complex emotion evoked by beauty, art, nature, and creative expressions. Aesthetic emotions. So everybody using it as YouTubers or online as a, what's the word, just the influencers saying, oh, I got it for the aesthetics. Hey guys, look, so let's move on to the dining section. I love this. I love that frame on the wall. I think it matches the aesthetic emotion. Oh Jesus, whatever. Aesthetic emotions, they are complex emotions evoked by beauty, art, nature, and creative expressions. Yeah. So types of aesthetic emotions: wonder, that is awe, inspired by beauty and grandeur. We have appreciation, valuing artistic or creative works. We have beauty, experience pleasure from harmony and balance. So wow, that baby is beautiful, you know. The nose is nosing, the mouth is mouthing, the eyes is eyesing, and the forehead, everything. The edges are laid and full, everything. The teeth are straight and aligned, you know. That's it. Harmony and balance is beauty. Wow, this hotel room is beautiful. That means you mean everything is in harmony and balance. Wow, you look beautiful. Your outfit, everything, the makeup is in harmony and balance. So we have sublimity, feeling overwhelmed by power or majesty. Oh, the sublimity of God. Feeling overwhelmed by power and majesty. Then we have nostalgia, coming here again. Hey, of course, emotion and longing for a beautiful place or whatever, for beauty. Evaluating, feeling inspired or uplifted by virtue. Then we have tranquility, experiencing calmness and serenity. So now we enter into the components of aesthetic emotions. Whew. I told you it's a flow of like stages. We have perception, attention, cognition, and emotion. So the first is perception, recognizing aesthetic qualities, like wow, this place is beautiful. Wow, this place is tranquil. You know. Attention, focusing on aesthetic details. And I'm like, wow, if this place is beautiful and tranquil, wow. It grabs your attention. Like first of all, you just view something, perception comes in, and you're like, wow, my perception of this place is that it's beautiful and it's tranquil and it's nostalgia and it's wonderful. And as what depict this emotion of beauty and tranquility in me, I start to pay attention to the details. That's the next flow, focusing on aesthetic details. The second is cognition, interpreting aesthetic meaning. So for example, I'm like, wow, I think it's tranquil because it has that ocean close, and the sound of the ocean just melts with the minimalist and Nordic design of the rooms, and how soft the bed is, just cogniting, interpreting, putting together. Cognition is interpretation, the information, making sense of the information, then the emotion, experiencing the emotional resonance of all these three flows. Do you get it? So theories of aesthetic emotion, we have Kant's aesthetic theory. Emotions results from disinterested pleasure. I did not research on that one, but I'm going to write whatever that is all about on the screen when I've researched. But it really got, I left space to research on it and I forgot, because I just wanted to do this video, but it really caught my attention. This Kant's aesthetic theory says emotions result from disinterested pleasure. How is that possible? Then we have Aristotle Catharsis theory. Aesthetic emotions purify and cleanse. I don't think I need explanation for that one. That makes so much sense. Aesthetic emotion can purify and cleanse you. For example, if you are very experiencing burnout, you've been working out and you just need vacation or a staycation, and you choose a hotel, you get there and it gives all this tranquility, peace and everything. The way that stress and worry will fly out of your life, you can't be in a tranquil place that's giving peace. And the tranquility is peace and calmness. Your life, your mind, if it was flying here, it will calm down. That's the core value of minimalist. When you hear people say minimalism, because if you are in a place or a room that there's no clutter, few things is what it is, your mind will not be cluttered, I swear. If you just walk into that place, there will be a sense of calm. Then imagine placing even colors to depict this tranquility, sounds, humidifiers, lights, ambience, and all of that. See, it will cleanse and purify all the things that are not tranquil and calm in your life, I tell you. Then the third aesthetic theory is psychological aesthetic theory. Aesthetic emotions enhances well-being. You see, example of what I said, very important, because like you walk from morning from January to this thing, you should that's why you hear people say, oh, I unwind. Best way of unwinding, you can't unwind without the best unwinding. There are people that get their unwinding from alcohol, noisy places, clubbing. I don't know how their brain function, but the kind of reset from burnout you get from psychological aesthetic theory, which is aesthetic emotions enhance well-being, chef kiss. Nothing can replace it. Aesthetic emotion triggers, things that trigger aesthetic emotions, just like I was saying, art, music, literature, and even visual art. It could be painting, it could be just art, sculptures, there's something, but there are these frames that about duplicating African culture, where you see this village setting with the chickens on the floor, the sun setting beautifully, children just in those playing outside in the evening, moonlight stories, granny ready for moonlight stories. Whenever I see artwork like that, it brings aesthetic emotions of tranquility to my soul, because it just like takes you back to when what matters when we'll go outside, be roasting yam during childhood and hearing all the stories about tortoise and hare. It just takes me back. I don't know about you, to when there's no adulting childhood. This one, that one, think of this, tax here, that one here, oh, make money, what will I eat tomorrow? Our parents were doing all of that. So that's so true. That's so true. Aesthetic emotion triggers, again, nature, landscape, sunsets, and flowers. Even if you're a devil, have you seen flowers? Imagine being in a big field of roses, not even that your boyfriend bought you bouquet now, or your husband. Big field of roses, dandelions, sunflowers. Or watching the sunset in a beautiful location. Just watch it. Just sit still. Just see all the colors she goes through. Landscapes and all of that. Waterfall, my dear. Architectural, this thing too. Have you seen mad architectures? Architectural design. Even fashion is placed here too. Fashion can give you a kind of aesthetic feeling. Okay? Benefits of aesthetic emotions, we can already tell from all I've been saying. We have stress reduction, mood enhancement. So if you are feeling stressed, I'm feeling so stressed, sorry for the fall in lightning, this is cloudy, but we'll do this video because we can listen to each other. You can hear me, I say listen to each other. Benefit of aesthetic emotions, stress reduction. Like if you are feeling stressed, you are feeling like, oh my god, I'm stressed, as like a burnout from work or whatever. If you indulge in anything that will open you to aesthetic emotions, either focusing on the triggers, music, going for a staycation in a nice location, going to watch sunset for a walk, it's going to help with stress reduction by boosting all those hormones, what they call them. This is serotonin, I forgot, dopamine and whatever. Then 2, we have mood enhancement. It will enhance your mood, of course. If you are sad, music can enhance your mood. And all a staycation can enhance your mood. It can boost your creativity. Yeah, I notice as an entrepreneur, I work from home, and I always associate my home with work. No matter what you do, I would work anyway. But anytime I'm feeling overwhelmed, I like to detach sometimes and just travel or go somewhere. I notice when I come back, like when I'm in that place, or when I come back, things that I had decision fatigue about, ideas just start to flow. I don't know what's about it, but obviously boost creativity. Social bonding. Social bonding, I don't know what's that about. Personal growth. Now let's dive into tertiary emotions. That's the complex of the complex. For example, we have number 1, taking the first row, 3 of 3, 1 of 1. This sound stood out to me. Romantic emotion is a tertiary complex emotion. We all know this. Good. It's involving intense feelings of attachment, affection, and passion. See, 3 very complex secondary emotions in play in a romantic. Is the complex of the most complex kind of emotions, characterized by strong desire for emotional connection and intimacy in commitment with a romantic partner. You know what I'm talking about. Don't even act like that. Components, like I said, flow, usually how it flows. Attachment, deep emotional connection. You feel attached to this person. Could even, affection is the next place. Warmth and tenderness and care towards this person. The third one is passion, intense desire and attraction towards this person. Then you enter the intimacy, where I feel maybe they're already dating. Close physical and emotional connection. Then we have the aspect commitment, willingness to invest in the relationship. So those are the components of romantic emotion: attachment, affection, passion, intimacy, and commitment. Now let's go into types of romantic emotions. Infatuation, which the puppy love, which teenagers always encounter. Intense attraction and excitement. Then we have actual love, deep affection and commitment. Then we have longing, yearning for emotional connection. We also have nostalgia, maybe people that have broken up, sentimental memories of past person they have been with. Those people that break up stupidly, quickly. Then we have obsession. These are the ones that need to be arrested, that like to stalk and all of that. All consuming thoughts and feelings, like the feelings and the thoughts is consuming. The brain and the heart is in overdrive. Theories of romantic emotions. Triangular theory of love combines intimacy plus passion plus commitment. Triangular theory of love combines intimacy plus passion plus commitment. There's a triangular theory of love when you are in love, when you've entered love stage, in the flow, in the types. And when you're in love stage, there's intimacy, which makes sense because you have all the intimacies: emotional intimacy, intellectual intimacy, spiritual intimacy. Physical intimacy is one of the many of intimacies, and people used to be foolish enough to fly straight into physical intimacy. And by the worst part is when you have flown into physical intimacy, then you're finished, because there's this other intimacies, intellectual, they don't strive, they can't grow anymore because everywhere is clouded with dopamine. And then there's passion. Of course there has to be passion when there's love, and there's commitment. So you need these three things. So no need to even check to research anything. You need, if these three things are not combined and they are missing, what are you loving? Second is attachment theory. Romantic love as attachment style. Of course, definitely. You can't start, when two people come together in a relationship, they have attachment styles. Have healthy attachment style. Have healthy attachment style, because two healthy attachment styled individuals should come together. Imagine, but I don't know why avoidant and anxious always attract themselves. Always. Voila. The avoidance will be feeling like the anxious is suffocating them with love, and the anxious will be chasing them more because they want love, and the avoidance will be running because they love to avoid. So yeah, attachment theory, game when it comes to romantic relationship. But when the individuals have healthy attachment styles, they come. If you don't know what attachment styles is, I think I roughly spoke up to you about how they emanate from childhood traumas and wounds. So yeah. Self-expansion theory, romantic love as self-growth. Really? That's just piqued my curiosity. I'm going to research on it. Self-expansion theory, romantic love as self-growth. That's weird. That blows my mind. Romantic love as self-growth. Whatever. Of course, next is the development. How do they develop? We know these things already from childhood. Like I was saying, just like attachment styles are developed from childhood. Attachment styles are developed from childhood. And anxious attachments, avoidance is childhood relative, 100, and that influences how they behave in romantic relationships and everything. Then we have this called Sakadenfried. I don't know if I pronounced that or I murdered it. So this is a tertiary emotion, complex tertiary emotion involving pleasure or joy derived from other people's misfortune, failure, and embarrassment. You see, this is witches and wizards. Schadenfreude is a complex emotion involving pleasure and joy derived from other people's misfortune, failure, embarrassment. Components, like I told you, components is flow. The pleasure, they derive pleasure first, feeling happy and satisfied that bad thing happened to another person. And they come comparative thinking, evaluating their self relative to the other person. So obviously you can tell that this feeling come from the fact that they are always comparing themselves with another person. What I'm picking from this, they're always comparing themselves with another person. They just want to be the best. This sounds like a narcissist for me. They just want to be the best, but it may not always be a narcissist. Envy starts like this too. When someone is envious of somebody and something bad happens to them, they will definitely enter this Schadenfreude, and because there's comparison, they're comparing themselves. Then social comparison, comparing others' misfortune to their own situation. Then types of Schadenfreude. There's malicious schadenfreude, deriving the pleasure from one's harm or suffering, from other people's harm and suffering. That is malicious. Then we have benign schadenfreude, finding humor or irony in one's minor misfortune. You know, I feel in a place where you laugh and be like, yeah, they deserve that. It's still schadenfreude, even though the person is deserving that. You laughed at them, but it's still schadenfreude, but it's benign. Benign means it's used in two more description, and it's like something small, something that is not cancerous, something that doesn't have the ability to grow into something out of control. These are the ones that maybe, for example, a thief went to steal at someone's house and jars caught them there and they are sweeping the floor, or they caught them, naked them, or a dog beat them, or when they were jumping they get to, we would rejoice and be like, that serves you right. Be like, oh, it would be humor, but it was a misfortune that happened to the thief. Cool. Then we have vicarious schadenfreude, experiencing pleasure through others' experience. Vicarious schadenfreude, experiencing pleasure through others' experience. I see. Then theories of schadenfreude, social comparison. Just like we picked it, it always emanates from social comparison, that it arises from comparing oneself favorably. Like, but this social comparison, like the person doing the schadenfreude now is comparing themselves favorably. Then we have envy theory, arising from resentment towards others' success, due to low self-esteem, from trauma, insecurity, abandonment, emotional abuse, and bullying. Justice theory, arise from fairness and justice. So it says schadenfreude can arise from fairness and justice, which I gave you the example of the thief now, which can be a benign case. The envy theory, of course, this has to be the malicious schadenfreude. Is arising from resentment towards other people's success, because the person now has issues of low self-esteem, coming from trauma of insecurities, abandonment, and emotional abuse and bullying. So they are carrying this baggage of not feeling good enough, and life wasn't unfair to them from childhood, and they will definitely switch into schadenfreude when they see somebody having the things they wish they could have. They don't mind evil befalling that person, and if evil before the person, they'll be like, yeah, nice, she thought she was all that. Kind of. There's social comparison, of course, comparing yourself favorably, whatever. Impact of schadenfreude affects relationship and social dynamics, regulates self-esteem and confidence, of course, influences moral judgment and empathy, of course, because now they don't mind sentencing somebody to death by hanging because they are jealous of the person. Nostalgia is this next type of tertiary complex emotion we are going into, and sentiments, longing, wishful affection for the past. That is nostalgia. When you are longing and having wishful affection for the past, it can be a time period or a place associated with happiness and personal experiences. Components of nostalgia, that is flowchart movement. Now, sentimental longing, emotional yearning for the past, happy memories. I'll be thinking positive association with past memories and experiences. Then sense of loss. Finally, they enter like, wow, this thing is no more, which is awareness of irretrievable past things. They are aware that it's gone, nothing can be done. So that's nostalgia. It's a bittersweet feeling. It moves from the happiness, remembrance of the happiness, and wanting to the harsh awareness. Maybe somebody that broke up with somebody, maybe they later realize now, oh wow, I shouldn't have done that. Guilt and shame will come in. Then nostalgia starts to happen, where they are like reminiscing what the relationship used to be like and happy times, and just finally realize maybe the person refused to get back together with them, and they are finally thinking of the sense of loss. Do you get? So we have types of nostalgia: personal nostalgia, which is focused on individual experiences, like for example that relationship I spoke about. In Intrical nostalgia, romantic past events. Okay. Romanticizing past events. That is historical nostalgia, is romanticizing past events. Cultural nostalgia, longing for past cultural practices, the way Africans like to do. Triggers of nostalgia, things that triggers nostalgia: sensory stimuli, smell, sounds, and sight. Milestones, maybe anniversaries, birthdays coming up. Social interaction, reunions, and reminiscing. Next, we're entering into functions of nostalgia. Coping mechanism. Nostalgia can be used as a coping mechanism. So for example, for the ex I made reference to, can be like, oh, the only way they can cope with the loss of this relationship where they made mistake is to do nostalgia, dwell on the past and the what's the word, the emotions it brings at that time. It could be anything, maybe a mother that lost her child and just remembering all of that, just yeah. Coping mechanism can help them cope. Social bonding, fostering connection through shared experiences. Yeah, there's how I could use my nostalgia, bring it in form of words or art in such a way it's nostalgia to me, but you are sharing in that experience because I've transferred it to you. Identity formation, shaping self-concept through memories. So like, if I can pull that girl, then I must be a dog. I'm just saying. Theories: escapism theory, temporary escape from present concerns, which already that's true. Self-continuity theory, nostalgia maintaining sense of self. Social identity theory, nostalgia reinforcing group membership. Benefits: stress reduction again. Increased optimism, improved self-esteem. Downside: the negative, over romanticizing of the past is definitely dangerous, can lead to obsession and mental problem. Resistance to change, yes, we're accustomed to not want change, like, oh, I cannot love someone else, I can't move on. Yes, it may be true, you cannot meet someone else like this, but if you dwell on it, you'll not be able to move on. Unhealthy escapism. So management, how to manage nostalgia. Balance with present moment awareness, so don't overindulge. Balance with what reality, come back to earth. Reflect on found memories, engage in nostalgic activities. Ambivalence. This is another type of tertiary emotion. It's conflicting complex emotions towards a person, situation, or decision. Conflicting complex emotions towards a person, situation, or decision. Components, flowchart again. Mixed emotions. It starts with mixed emotions, coexisting positive and negative emotions in you. Then it enter conflicting desires, and you're like simultaneously attracting and repulsing that thing at the same time. Okay, for example, I love to go to the park, amusement park. Just like that we're going out, I love the idea of climbing all the scary whatever, but I don't want to climb it. I don't want to. I love to go and swim. I love the idea of me in the water. But when I'm looking at that water again, I don't want to get in. Uncertainty is the next. Difficult making decisions due to lack of information. Types of ambivalence: emotional, conflicting emotions, love and hate. For example, yes, you can love and hate something. 2, cognitive ambivalence, conflicting thoughts, e.g. when we are thinking about the pros and the cons to something. Then 3, we have behavioral ambivalence, conflicting actions, approach and avoidance. Theory, it is a conscious conflict psychoanalytic theory. It is a unconscious conflict. So this is a psychoanalytic theory. The second, it is a conflicting belief, which is cognitive dissonance. 3, ambivalence is as an emotional regulation challenge, emotional intelligence theory. Yes, definitely ambivalence will come into play when you are developing emotional intelligence, which is the pros and cons. Examples: romantic relationship, love and frustration. You love the person but they are frustrating your life. 2, career choices, passion and security. Wow, I love this job I do, but I don't feel secured. My future doesn't feel secured. 2, social issues, moral and practical concerns, which is logical and whatever. Benefits: nuanced thinking, recognizing complexities. Second benefit, emotional intelligence. Third benefit, adaptability to openness and change. Challenges: decision making difficulty, of course, because it's conflicting emotions. Emotional turmoil, oh my goodness. Relationship conflicts, because these things can be, imagine if somebody's giving you mixed signals. Emotional turmoil and relationship conflicts. Managing ambivalence: acknowledge conflicting emotions. Step 1. Step 2, identify underlying values and goals. Step 3, seek diverse perspective. And 4, practice self-reflection and journaling. Next is the last emotion here. Okay, it's not even the last though, but these other 2, let's just brush over them. It's very important for me to go with these emotions, because when we start talking about emotional traumas and wounds, when I'm saying something so that you understand, I don't know why it's not showing that I wrote it before, but there are types of inu. 1, existential inu, questioning life's meaning and purpose. 2, this I like to call it when we say you are experiencing burnout and being unmotivated, that's what I'll call this emotion. So there are 3 types: existential which is questioning life's meaning and purpose. 2, social disconnecting from others. 3, emotional numbness, disconnection from emotions. Causes: repetitive routine, doing the same thing over and over. Lack of challenge or stimulation. Traumas or stress and social isolation. Symptoms of fatigue, decreased motivation, loss of interest in activity, emotional detachment. You hear YouTubers have this one a lot. You'll be hearing them coming to them, where have I been? Where have I been? Am I quitting YouTube? Then when you just click, they will be telling you it's always emotional, oh, I was always feeling like I'm always coming on my vlogs to do the same thing over and over again. I want something new. I don't know. I feel my life is boring. That's it. That your favorite YouTuber. That's what she's going through. Emotional, how to overcome seek new experiences, engage in creative activities, which you see that they later come to understand that it's because they are doing the same thing over and over. That's why people should stop judging them. Oh, I followed you when you were doing hair this thing. I don't know what you are doing now. Unfollow. Bam. You are being very rational in your moral judgment. You have no empathy at all. So you have 0 social emotions, 0 moral emotions to be telling them that you don't have empathy. Anyways, engage in creative activity, connect with friends and practice mindfulness, Then we have the philosophical perspective. Existentialism, embracing uncertainty, embrace it. 2, absurdism, finding meaning in chaos. Find meaning in chaos. For example, Christians saying God has a reason for everything, blah 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 blah. I may be feeling bored. What do you want me to learn from this? That kind of thing. Stoicism, focusing on the present. Now we have the last emotion here. You just have to clap for me, which is core. It's a Portuguese term describing deep emotions of melancholy, nostalgia, longing for something or someone, bittersweet yearning, which is called saudade. To me, this is still nostalgia. I did wanted to include it, but I'm like, oh, let me just include it. Characteristic, wishful longing, nostalgia of past experiences, awareness of irrevocable loss. It's still the same thing with nostalgia, if you ask me. So it moves with sadness, regret. But the difference with the saudade is that it ends in hope. There's a hope. There's a hope. Well, nostalgia ends in like irrecoverable destiny, hopelessness. Somehow this one ends with hope. I don't know. Of maybe if you want to put it in relationship again, maybe there's hope somehow. So somehow when there is hope in the nostalgia, it's called saudade. Saudade, that is Saudade. Then there was a part about, now we have learned about how many emotions are. Now let's talk about parts of an emotion. Emotions are complex psychological and physiological states that influences our thoughts, behaviors, and interactions. They are originated from thoughts and senses. Senses, taste, sight, perceive, hearing, and feeling. Parts of emotions, we have effective components, cognitive components, physiological components, and behavioral components. Yeah, these are the components of emotions, the parts of emotions. So the effective component has to do with the feeling of happiness and sadness. That's affection. Effective affection, the feeling. Then we have cognitive components. This has to do with thoughts that are associated with feeling. I'm happy because I passed my exams. The component that depicts that feeling now, that's the cognitive component. Why are you happy? The reason behind effective component is cognitive component. And we also have physiological components. Physical body responses, e.g., increase in heart rate, smiling. Even some people can have running stomach immediately, shaky hands. Those are physiological components. That is the physical manifestation of the feeling, the effective component, the feeling they have. For example, if somebody is feeling anxious because they're about to face a crowd, you can see their hands shaking. Somebody is happy to see somebody, they'll be smiling. All those things. Those are the physiology. You can see the reactions, you can see. Then we have behavioral component. This is actions, full-fledged action. E.g., dancing, laughing, crying, banging doors, hash tone, etc. So that is all for emotions. I'm sure you guys learned what emotions are, how they form, the different types of emotions. I'm sure you're so shocked. Now, if you're having any feeling, somebody annoy you, you know, oh wow, this is social emotion. Like I would, it's such an exciting thing to learn and understand. Like there are different types of emotions. If only we know. So many people go through things, they don't even know what it is, and they don't even know there's a name to that thing that they are feeling. You can go on your own and research different types of emotions, and add to this. We even have selfishness. There's a lot. I just picked these ones because it will really help to learn so much when we start talking about emotional traumas and wounds and healing them and all of that. So very key to understand emotions. You see how broad it is. This is like the longest video I've done in my life. This is entering 2 hours, but I'll have to edit it. At least I should get 1 hour. Like, this is so beautiful. I hope you guys learned a lot. If you did, don't forget to like this video. Hit the like button now, please, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. And comment below if you have any questions or you just want to say anything, and I'll be so happy to reply to your comments. And thank you so much for being with me on this video, and until next time, bye guys. Bye. Bye.